All right, here we go, everybody. Hello, my name is Russell Hill, and I'm the host of WTF, What the Fixed Ops. And I'm joined today by...
I'm Charity Dunning. I'm the co-host here at What the Fixed Ops, and we're super excited today. We have Leonard Buchholz. Leonard is the sales and marketing manager at DealerPRO Training. So Leonard, tell us a little bit about who you are, how you got into automotive.
Yeah, please do, Leonard. Come on, bring it.
Yeah. Like many of us, I started on the dark side of the business. I was actually in sales at the very beginning. And I was doing, in fact, the very first two cars I sold, believe it or not, on the same day were two Volvo 780s. That's how old I am. Those were the top of the line, cars way back then. But I sold two on the first day, and I thought, man, this is it. But after a few months, it just became apparent that sales and I are not going to be long-term friends. So I went in to tell the general manager. I said to the GM, I was like, hey, thanks for the opportunity, but I got to move on to something else. He goes, hey, let me show you this other department. So he takes me in the back and introduces me to the manager and the other service advisor. And he goes, we just fired a service advisor. He goes, you can have this chair if you want it. And I was like, okay, I guess I'm still working here. Okay, not a problem. And 34 years later, here I am at the end of that. Been in every position of fixed ops, like most of us. Everything from service advisor to dispatcher to service manager, service and parts director, and everything in between. And so I have been in the training business since 2006. I was actually traveling the country doing, you guys heard of Fred Pryor seminars? Fred Pryor? Fred Pryor Seminars there's two companies out there, two big ones. One of them is Fred, where they do these public seminars, these workshops, or they can do them privately and people hire them. And they cover lots of different subjects like communications, leadership, you name it. I worked with them for a few years. I had 42 different subjects that I coached and trained in venues all across the country. Ended up doing over 200 different presentations. And then Don Reed from DealerPRO tracked me down and said, hey, you need to come to work for me. And one thing led to another, and I was there for quite some time and migrated away. Decided at one point I wanted to go back into retail, right? Which is crazy. I know, right? It's amazing I don't have any of this hair after a couple of years of that. And then I came back into the training world, and here I am. Back to work, working with dealerships in the service department.
So Leonard, with all those different subjects,
yes,
do you have one that stands out that's near and dear that you're more passionate about than another, or multiples? Or because I see you and engage with you in other venues,
sure.
Like Joe and Eric and Service Drive Live, which is just amazing. And you've probably been on Dave Foy's The Mastermind.
Yeah.
What is it? 5 to Thrive. 5 to Thrive.
Now it's 5 to Thrive. Yeah.
Yeah. Now 5 to Thrive. So yeah, what tickles your fancy?
Well, for me, the two that jumped out and the ones that I really enjoyed the most were anything with communications, and the other one was leadership. And the communications, because our business in the service department is all about communications. Our biggest successes come from great communications, but our biggest failures come from communications as well, when we don't follow through and do what we say we're going to do. So, when you're coaching and training advisors on better communication, showing them how to reach out to a customer, say it a different way, get a different result, somehow or another, progress that a transaction along a little bit further. It's a great feeling when the advisor goes out and he does it, or she does it, and they're successful. You're like, okay, see how this works. And it's the same with leadership. When But when I'm working with a manager or with somebody in the service department that's in a leadership role, and we're able to coach them and to show them a way to, again, move people, coach and train their own people, become better leaders, that's just amazing. I love it. I think there's no better thing in the world than doing that. The best way I can say it.
Yeah, I
Tell
agree.
some of the the common issues that you see with leadership when, share a few with us.
Yeah, some of the most common, and one that we run into all the time, probably number one on the list, is the lack of accountability. And it's not that people don't want accountability, it's that they don't know how to do it. And accountability, first of all, is all about everything in the setup, right? If you have good accountability, it means that everybody knows what their goals are, what they're trying to accomplish, right? And good accountability comes from that, because you can talk to people about how they're working in that environment or what their behaviors are in that environment to be successful, or in some cases not successful. So if you have accountability, all you're doing is guiding that person to a level of performance that you and your dealership desires, and that person desires. They want to be held accountable. People don't like to work in dealerships where it's willy-nilly, people are doing whatever. Things are not being done the right way. We all know this. So we've been in stores where it's been utter and complete chaos.
Yep.
I didn't want to work there. And I'm sure that there's plenty of people that have worked in those stores and said, I got to go. I don't want to be there.
True.
So number one is accountability. And the second one is going back to that leadership and communications. We see it all the time. We have good people in our industry. They just need coaching on how to be better leaders and how to communicate effectively with people. I don't know about you, Russell, Terry, I've had to change my communication style a lot over the last 10 or 15 years, just because things have changed so much, right? In the old days, I want to say back when we were shoeing horses and repairing wagon wheels.
Yeah.
Right. Russell's like, I remember those days. Let me write that down, shoeing horses. Yeah. But, back in those days, it was quite a different world, and people treated each other a little bit differently. We didn't maybe communicate as effectively, and it was more authoritarian than it was anything else. Yeah. I'm sure you remember those days.
Well, I think that's a great point. I think that, so at least for me today, this is kind of how I look at that. So wherever I resist change the most is probably right where I need to change. Now, I've evolved over the years. I've been in the industry equally. I've actually 38 years now, but I have evolved. And it used to be my management style was, as I grew, because I started in sales and ended up running stores, Leonard, was, you do what the hell I tell you to do. Right. Okay. So you light a fire underneath people without much explanation. There's a lot of them I know today, but it was a learning process for me. To now, I like lighting a fire in people. Okay. Right. Servant leadership is what I call it. And so I know that even in my family dynamics and those dynamics growing up over the years and changing, I find that if I want change to occur, it's easier particularly if I'm frustrated with people, if I make the change, it appears that they changed when I'm the one that actually changed first. Do you find stuff like that to be true in your life too, and your coaching and teaching?
100%.
Not 100, not 102, but 100, just 100. Okay.
It's probably over 100.
Yeah.
Probably pretty far up there, actually. Yeah. And what's funny, Russell, is that it comes to a point where there's a self-realization. We're like, you know what? That's not something that they screwed up. That's me, 100% me. I'm not communicating. And almost every single time you can fault trade, use a diagnostic tree. Is like, okay, this went wrong. All right, what happened here? They didn't follow a process. They didn't do it the right way. They didn't say the right thing. And I look down to it and I go, I didn't train them. I didn't show them. I didn't coach them. And I didn't communicate clearly with them what was the expectation. You fix that and everything starts to fall in line. You start having success, and we're rocking and rolling.
Do you have kids?
Yeah, I have 2 grown children. I have both are older, which is dating me again. They're older. Both of them. One's a registered nurse and the other one's a registered veterinary technician. And she is really, more importantly right now, a home teacher, right? Because that's after COVID, they decided to keep their kids out of school. So she does that.
Yeah,
And it's
yeah.
very important job.
I think and that's great. What are their names, Leonard?
My oldest daughter's name is Jill, and my youngest daughter is Carol.
Hello, Jill. Hello, Carol. Your dad is awesome. Well respected, revered trainer and confidant. No, the reason I ask about the kids is because, the kids are, as they grow up, they're always trying to get over on us, right? They say, well, someone's Mikey's friends,
Right.
their parents let him do this, and that, and they're trying everything at every turn to divert our attention or to give in. And so I remember times when I started growing professionally, spiritually, mentally, emotionally, and all those things. It's like, I don't even know why we're debating this, because because anything other than giving in and saying yes, it's absolutely going to go nowhere.
Right.
And they resisted that accountability, but you know what? Years later, because mine are older as well,
Yeah.
they appreciated that accountability because that's what they really wanted. They wanted to be led and be held accountable.
I totally agree 100%. We've had conversations about this where they say, Dad, I really appreciated that at when you came and talked to us about it, you were standing fast. You didn't let us get away with whatever it was that they were trying to get away with. And what's funny is it's kind of rolled over into the grandchildren, right? Because I got 4 grandchildren.
I do too. I got 4 of them. How old are they? Stop. How old are they?
So I got one that's 12, and then I got one that's 10, then I got 9, then I got 6 going on 7. So they're very, and you know what? I'll tell you, Russell, Charity, if I could have had just grandchildren, I would have skipped my own kids and went straight to grandchildren. I don't know about you guys. That's how I tell that to my kids, my kids all the time.
Are you guys telling me that when the kids grow up, they appreciate how stern and strict you were with them?
Yeah,
I think so, Leonard.
That's
don't
something
you?
I can look forward to.
Yes.
It is.
Yes.
It is. But if you think you're done at 18, that's where it really starts anyway.
It's so funny. That's so true. Because once they hit 18, they hit the door. They're like, I'm out in the world. I can do whatever I want. And then pretty soon they're right back. They're like, okay, how do I get past this? Or what do I do with this? You're like, okay,
true that.
let's work it through.
Yep. Absolutely. That's funny. No, Charity, you'll they will, there'll be those defining moments where they push back and they don't understand. You guys don't understand when they're 16, 17 years old. Charity asked a question. This is the way I remember it anyway, to a guest one time. If they could go back to their 18-year-old self and share some information today with that 18-year-old person, what would that be? And I don't know if the guest asked me or somehow I interjected and said, well, if I had to go back and tell my 18-year-old self, I wouldn't listen to a damn word that you had to say, because you know what? At 18, I had it figured out, man. I mean, I knew what was going on. You couldn't tell me a damn thing. So
true. That's how you end up in the Marine Corps, right? You figure those things out. You're like, there you go. You know exactly what you're doing. Yeah. Now, next thing you know, you're in San Diego getting a drill instructor teaching you the right way to do things. Which is
I had that too. Yeah. I actually did that at 17.
17.
For me, some branches you couldn't get into, you're 18. At the Army, I was a struggling, non-compliant 17-year-old, trust me. So let me ask you about that. No, Charity, you go ahead. You have a question?
Sure. Well, from what research I've done on you, Leonard, you may have seen me creeping around your LinkedIn
she does
profile. I get the impression that you go into dealerships, you mentor, you teach, you train, and I always am so curious what some of the most difficult problems in the dealership are to solve.
Great question.
That is a fantastic question. And
we are passionate about helping consumers find a great, trusted place to get their car fixed. We have 4 million uniques who come to our website each month for car repair information, and we help them find our REPAIRPAL certified locations. We also have amazing partners like USAA that offer our REPAIRPAL certified network to their customers and members. So how are we going to help dealers? Well, dealers sell 100% of the cars, but over time, after the warranty expires, the repairs go up and up and the revenue potential goes up. but people keep leaving the dealer over time after the warranty. By years 10 or 12, only about 20% of people are still servicing at the dealer. Why is that? There's one dominant reason, and that is price perception. And being REPAIRPAL certified helps you overcome the primary price perception problem. So come let us show you how REPAIRPAL can help you too.
If I could just boil it down to one word, I'd say it's people. Here's what's happened. You know, when you go into a dealership and you identify things. I mean, there are some things that when you walk in after 10 minutes, right, Russell, you look around, you're like, this is seriously broken. They're not following this product. They're not doing this. They're not doing that. That is easily fixed because you can say, here's the process. This is what you should do. Here's how it works. This is what you get, right? If you follow this process. But what stops that is the people in the dealership, and they have their own mental barriers. Plus they have their own way of doing things. I have frequently said that when you go into a dealership and you see a process, or you ask people if they have a process, they all have their own process, but it's probably not the one that the dealership wants to use. True. And what happens is that when you're coaching or working with them, you have to show them that the way to success is through this, to get past this barrier that they have built up in their mind. And sometimes it's just a fear. I would say 90% of the time it's just a fear. It's a fear of the unknown, a fear of change. We all have that fear of change. I have that fear. I have to constantly fight it all the time. Right. Everybody I work with, you know, in a dealership has a fear of change. This is probably the number one reason that keeps them from being successful, right? I have a saying where I say, you know, the perceived, what you think, right, is the fear that's in your mind that's greater than the actual a challenge. The actual fear of doing something new keeps people from moving forward, and that's what happens.
Yep, and they're programmed from a very early age. Great question. I got to say this. I like to, as much as I possibly can. That woman that you're looking at on the screen right now is critical and crucial to the success that we have. Not only coming up with the name, but I mean, the questions and the research. I mean, most of the time I just show up, but I know a lot of people, at least enough to engage anyway. But Charity really does her homework, and she really is starting to grasp and get some basic fundamental stuff, which applies to all industry, the things that we're talking about.
Yeah, it really does.
It does.
Yeah, that's exactly what went through my mind, Leonard, when you said that. I'm sure businesses of all types have that problem. People, process. What's the last one, Russell? Product or profit?
Lee Iacocca, when he did something that nobody thought he could do, and to turn Chrysler around, he said, ladies and gentlemen, in the end, you can sum all businesses up, all of them, to three things: people, products, and profits, the most important of which are your people. They are. Charity and I hear that over and over and over again. She knows where I stand on that. She hears it every week. She obviously agrees 100%. It is all about people. So we did a workshop at NAD on EV and the future of fixed operations, right? And we took everybody on a journey. And at the end, it ended up where we wanted to end up anyway. All that other crap we talked about, I mean, it was great information. A lot of it was fun and, you know, informative, you know, to some people, etc. But it all boiled down to none of that makes any difference if you're not taking care of your people. You're not taking care of your people.
It's, and you know, in stores that are really struggling, this is very obvious. You probably have seen some of these examples yourself, like frequent changes of pay plans. Like every time there's a problem, they change a pay plan, right? Oh, we're going to change a pay plan. Frequent changes of personnel, service advisor churn. I was in the store working with this group, and one of their stores turned over service advisors, turned all of them over 6 times in 2 years. How do you do that? I mean, it's crazy. It's so hard to build continuity and strength of personnel when you're constantly turning people over. And it's a huge sign that there's something, you know, very, very wrong with the way that those people treat their people when you have churn that's like that. So, I mean, you know, those are things that we look for. You know, is it the same people that have been in the store for a while? Is it a big churn? Are they paid properly? Hey, what about even things like time off, paid time off, all these other benefits that go with it? How about the one that people don't talk about, and that is training? And the reason why training is so important is because if you believe in people, you train them. If you don't, you don't train them. You don't invest the money. You're like, yeah, we don't have to do that. That person's not going to be here for long anyways.
No, well, you know what? Those people with that kind of churn, they're the ones that need some life coaches, because the speed of the pack is set by the leader. That is a leadership or management problem, because they don't know how to be effective leaders and pour into their people. Because we believe that in the end, Gen Z, Gen Y, Alpha, that's growing up right now, coming into the workforce, people want to know that I don't care what age group, what generation you call them, they all want to know they count, they matter, they make a difference,
right.
and that there's something, they're not an island, that they're part of something that makes them feel, and that they can be heard, right? All
the time, and the leaders that get this, where they have, great communication, but also they are involved with their people. They know things about them, but they take care of them because they want to. They know about their lives. They know about what their strengths and weaknesses are. They know when they need training. They know when they need a hand. They know when they need a kick in the butt. I mean, and they're so involved in these things that after a while, those people become so loyal to that leader and that store, they don't want to go anyplace else.
Yeah. So we Charity and I hear all the time, you do too, technician shortage, advisor shortage. Leonard, is there really a freaking shortage out there? When I think of people like Ed Roberts and Sean Butler and Eric Hadigi and Joe Chan and just Michael, it goes on and on and on. They have very low turnover. Yes, it does happen for other types of reasons, but it's like, it's just,
it's great. What's funny, Russell, to your point, wasn't it like 2 weeks ago, John Fraser put up that post about recruiting, that he's recruiting technicians, but he did it in such a way. I'm so impressed with that technician prospectus. I've shared it with everybody at DealerPRO. I shared it with all of our trainers. And I said, if you go into a store and somebody goes, I can't find technicians, show them this, because this is what they need to do to get people to come to the store. He has no problem getting people here.
No.
He got 5 technicians in 2 weeks.
I'm surprised. I'm actually surprised. And I don't know if you've watched any of his YouTube stuff. The guy is a freaking phenomenal sax player. I mean, Charity, if you get a chance, look up John Fraser on YouTube. Okay. So here's what I didn't understand. Obviously he didn't make a move lightly, but he left AMSI.
Yeah.
Went to work for Foundation in Texas.
Yeah.
Which I will be seeing him soon, because this happens to be my territory, and we do business with the Foundation Automotive Group as well.
Nice.
So, but I've never met the guy. But I mean, the times that we've interacted, I mean, the guy is smart.
He's a light bulb smart dude. I mean, every time I get around him, the room, I'm like, I feel like I only have a tiny bit of the knowledge that John has, because he is so smart about the business. He's smart about his people. He gets process. He gets everything about making a business work, a dealership work, a service department work. It's very impressive just to even talk to him for just a little while, and you walk away going, man, let me write that down.
Yeah, but you know what?
And someplace else.
And while you're talking to him, with a couple of conversations that I just had one-on-one with him, you don't feel an ego is in charge, too much pride, condescending.
No.
It's like maybe I'm a human being,
He has such a way with people. I mean, there's no wonder that he has people that wants to come to work for him. There's no mystery there. And it's the same with Ed Roberts. I mean, Ed, when you talk to Ed, there's that person in front of you. They're just who they are. I mean, it's hard to go wrong if you're talking to Ed or John about this business, or quite a lot of other people too, as well.
Yeah. And they probably didn't all get started that way. And
no.
So let me ask you, okay? Long time in this business.
Yeah.
Sometimes, I like to do a little digging and see how far we can actually go, because you can talk about anything you want. Who you are is a product of everything you've gone through to get to this moment in time.
Sure.
Is there any one thing that stands out, a crossroad in your life many years ago where you were clearly taking the wrong paths, the shortcuts, et cetera, thinking that that was the way to get ahead? And then it was never my fault. It was always your fault. Anybody who stopped me from achieving what I wanted to achieve at whatever expense that I could use you for. Did you ever have times in your life like that?
Yeah, I think those are the biggest teaching moments that I have. I can think of two, and one of them I'll share, and that's when you get fired. When you get fired from a dealership, or from a position that you wanted to be in, it's not the dealership or the owner's fault. It's you, 100%. But you have to take that and you have to examine yourself and say, okay, look, what caused this failure? Was it the way that I led people? Did I not meet production? Did I not communicate? And you have to go back and do a self-diagnostic and ask yourself the hard questions to figure out, what do I have to do to make those changes? Because if you don't, the next time you go into a store, the next time you go into a position, the chances of you repeating history are 100%. You're just going to fall down that same path. And we have seen people like this in our industry, have we not? Russell, Charity, we've seen people that like, dude, you've worked at 5 stores in 4 years. All right. I get it. I mean, well, maybe they're all not a fit, but 5 and 4 tells me it's probably not the store. It might be you. And that's when, you got to sit down and say to yourself, what do I got to do to be different?
No, but Leonard, listen, I got an explanation for all 5 of those in the last 4 years.
Okay.
I do. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. It really wasn't my fault. This happened. And you know that, their backyard is so dirty.
It's so true, right? Any bit of digging, you're like, you did what? Okay.
Well, hey, let me ask you, Russell and I've been talking about technology quite a bit lately. And I read a quote on your LinkedIn profile that was really interesting. You said, tools and technology in the hands of the untrained lead to a disaster.
Yeah.
And I wanted you to tell us more about that.
Yes, please do.
Yeah. So again, one of the advantages of being in this position is I get to go in so many different dealerships, and you're talking to so many people, you're meeting so many people, and you're looking at everything that they're trying to do to be successful. And I get it 100%. Everybody wants a FEB, faster, easier, better. I want to do it faster. I want to do it easier. I want to do it better. And I'm going to buy a tool, or I'm going to get some technology or software that's going to help me do that. And when they do that, they buy the tool. Look, let me ask you this. You ever walk into a store and you look over into the tool room and you go, hey, what's that tool? And they go, oh, that's the flutinator remover, but we never use it. Well, why not? Because nobody knows how to use it. We had to have it because the factory said we had to have it, but we've never used it. Okay, well, how do you get the flutinators out right now? And that's a hammer and a chisel. You're like, okay, dude, I mean, come on, go get the flutinator tool, removal tool off the board. Let's see if we can make that thing work, because they're not using the tools the way that they should. So if you can buy technology, you can buy software, you can buy tools, but if you don't train your people, it's a waste of time. Yeah. In fact, I will tell you, it was Dave Foy that he put up a graphic picture on LinkedIn years ago. I never forgot it, where there's 2 guys and they're trying to peer over a wall. And one guy is standing on a ladder, right? And he's peering over the wall. The guy standing next to him is trying to build a ladder out of ladders. He's just stacking ladders on the ground to crawl up the ladders to look over the wall. And I remember that all the time. I'm like, that's what it is when you buy technology. You buy a tool and you don't train people to use it. Yep. That's what you end up with.
Yeah, it's 3 months later, the controller's asking, what are we paying $1,200? Oh, that doesn't work. Cancel it. So, yeah, and to further that, I have this one saying that I hope I don't get wrong because I say it all the time. And when I have really focus on, I have to say it. But
Right.
technology is used to accelerate momentum, not create it.
Correct. I agree 100%. That's a great quote. I'm going to steal that and call it my own.
You can, because I stole it from the person who stole it
Okay.
from the other person who stole it.
All right. There we go. I love that. It's so true, right? It
is.
accelerates momentum. It doesn't create it. Absolutely true. And
And the
you know,
one-
I think
yeah.
a lot of people in our business look at the NADA. You know, when people go to the NADA, they're walking around, they're looking at technology, they're looking at tools, they're hoping that this new thing will help us grow our business, that this new thing will help us grow customers and satisfy customers. And yes, it does have a role, but it's not a replacement for people. It's not a replacement for the leaders of that dealership, the people that are responsible to that team to help them grow. It doesn't replace any of that. It's a tool. It's a piece of the puzzle. It's not the whole puzzle.
We have to be really careful. Do you know who Glenn Lundy is?
Yes, I do.
Yeah. He was just on our show last week before last.
A
Very
couple
cool.
weeks ago.
Yeah. Anyway, we're going to release him on April 3rd. I mean, I just love the guy. Of course, I have that same type of belief and mentality and have for 28 years, et cetera. But so he was talking when I first met him at NADA last year. He said he was talking about how technology from 1922 to 2022, the last 100 years, how it's evolved. And he said, mark my words, the next 5 years, it will evolve as faster than it has the last 100. And it's boggling to the mind, the stuff that you can see,
Right.
like Chat GPT. Have you experimented with any of that?
I have not yet. No.
Oh my God. It's we need to be really careful. Okay. We need to be really careful about virtual, augmented AI. I mean, AI. We need to be really, really careful, or it's going to eat our lunch. And I think that true leaders take things with a grain of salt to see they have a process and they know their people in the process. Is this going to help, or will it actually throw a wrench into the gears and just screech us to a halt? You know?
That's a great question. And thinking about technology and what it's done over the last 20 years, let's go back. I mean, I still remember when cell phones had to have a bag in the car, right? It was
I had one in
gigantic battery
1989.
pack.
Remember
Yep.
those?
You remember those, right?
I
It
did,
was
I do.
huge. People would come in and say, my car's acting up, and you go and look on the front floorboard and there's a brick that's
bag
the
phone.
size of a cement block
So,
in there.
Yep.
And it's running their cell phone. They're like, hey, my car's messed up. But
Yeah. Oh, I had the, do you remember the Motorola brick phone?
yeah.
Charity, you know what I'm talking about? The brick phone?
Yeah. Well, I wasn't old enough to have one, but I saw it on
Yep.
Saved by
Oh,
the
I-
Bell.
I had a bag
Hey,
phone
I
and a
love
brick
that.
phone. It was like, it was analog. And I mean, the quality and the reception was not anything like we have today. It was way
Right.
better back then, but it was, $200 a minute to talk.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You didn't use it unless you absolutely had.
Oh, yeah.
But when you did, you wanted everybody to know. You're like, look at me. I'm
Yeah.
making a call from my
That's right.
phone. Check me out, right?
Yeah. Oh, I did that too. You couldn't help but notice somebody it was the size of a brick, bigger than a brick.
Oh
You're
yeah.
holding it, man. I mean, you have arrived if you have that.
If you remember, they even came out with the fake ones that you could buy.
Oh, yeah.
So you could pretend like you were talking to somebody. I'm important. Check out my phone.
That's brilliant.
Oh my God.
Really brilliant. if you think
brilliant.
about it.
But going back to that technology, look, let's even take software that we use every single day right now and where it evolved from. Let's look at a DMS system. If you remember back in the day, the DMS system was originally just an accounting tool. It's just a way to keep track of things.
How it started. Yep.
That's how it started. And now it's evolved further and further and further, where it's become as much an important tool to the advisor and to the store in greeting and working with that customer as it is anything else. Look at the add-ons that we put onto that, that have now expanded the capability of those DMS systems. Right now, you can get an add-on to make your appointments. You can get an add-on to record video. You can get an add-on to do an electronic MPI. You can do all these things to pack it into the DMS
True.
system.
Yeah.
And Glenn is absolutely right. In the next 5 years, it's going to be even, I'm going to feel even further behind. I'll be like, I'm just a dinosaur. I'm going to sit over here in my corner. I don't know what I'm going to do now.
No,
because
but
it's
Leonard,
going to go faster.
it is. And you get it. Now, this is obviously dating myself, but when I was a sales manager, I used to desk deals with a 10 key. We didn't even have the software to do that. I would do leases. I'd back out tax, title, license, upside down, whatever. I would do it in seconds. My hands would just move fast.
Oh
and
yeah.
we'd start the pencil, and I always used a green pen. I'm sorry, Charity, I digressed on. Okay. We still sold a lot of cars.
Still sold a lot of cars. Get that Foursquare out. Let's walk
Yep.
through it right now.
Come on, baby. Come on.
That
And then
process is still the same,
Yeah.
huh?
Still the same.
it really is still the same. So are you afraid of technology, Leonard?
Oh, I love technology as long as it is being used the way that I think it should be, and that is as a supplement and not a replacement.
There you go.
And for me, and again, look, I mean, these phones, look at this crazy thing, and this thing, I have all kinds of stuff, just like you do on every single phone, just like people have every single day. But you know what I can do? I can go into this, I can pick this up, and I can research a dealership. I can decide if I want to buy a car there. I can decide if I want to get my service work done there. I can see what other people think of it. Whereas, 15, 20 years ago, you didn't have that capability.
Nope.
You could not look at that. It required some investigation on your part, but now I can find anything out I want. I
So
can
what,
decide.
are you saying that most people are actually looking online for things today for the
It's
experience?
crazy, right?
Yeah.
They actually go on and research. When's the last time you bought something that you didn't go online first and look at it? I don't know about never.
So no, listen, we get regular, it's almost every day. Amazon, FedEx, UPS, USPS, they're dropping stuff all the time. I remember 12 years ago, my wife said, I will never order a damn thing online. I'm not putting my credit card in that damn thing. I just, no way. And now she's a avid. So she likes the ease of that. It's comfortable. It's comfortable for everybody. Everybody's looking for information today.
Yeah.
And it's right here at their face. Who would have known prior to in 2006? I remember, because all of you had it too. The smaller the phone, the better the phone was. Every year up until 2007, it got smaller and smaller.
Right.
It would be about the size of this. That's
Yeah.
how, and you could text a little bit, right?
You could.
And who would have
Little
guessed?
tiny screen.
Yeah, who would have guessed? In 2007, this guy named Steve Jobs rolled out this thing. He created a product that nobody actually knew they actually needed until it rolled out, and it revolutionized the whole world. Who would have figured?
Who would have figured?
Yeah.
I totally agree. And now look at it. You don't do your day without it. Nobody does their day without it. It doesn't exist. It's impossible.
You're right.
If you were to go into any dealership today and go, okay, everybody, give me your cell phones. You're not going to have them today. They would all fall down. They'd quit.
Oh, yeah.
They'd be like, I'm out. We're not.
I'd like to give it a run for my money and try it sometime. It's really hard for me to get separated. But I was recently visiting with a friend of mine. His name's Glenn Stanley. And he's the corporate variable guy for internet and all that stuff for the Answer Automotive Group. And he was talking about a meeting he had. There's 30 or 40 salesmen. I'm assuming, I'm just guessing based upon remembering. And he said, okay, I want everybody to raise their hand if you have unanswered emails. And everybody raised their hand. Okay. He said, now I want everybody to raise their hand if you have unanswered text messages. He said only a couple of people raised their hands.
That's right.
I mean, it's instant, right? You can respond to people instantly. It's just, how do we get off of Charity? We need to ask another question.
It makes me wonder why mobile marketing hasn't taken off more. I'm in marketing. That's my wheelhouse. And, you would think with the rate that text messages are opened, there would be a ton more mobile marketing, but people just hate it when you text them advertising.
They hate it because I think that, like you and me, when I get a text, I'm expecting it to be from someone I know. And I want to talk to them, right? That's how they got that's how they got my phone number.
Right. It's private.
It's private. But if I got a text with an ad, I'd be like, who in F is sharing my information? How dare you reach out to me on my private personal phone and send me an ad? And you're
Right.
absolutely right. That's what people think. That's what I think.
Yeah,
Me
completely.
too.
So let's pivot over back to what you do on an everyday basis.
Oh yeah,
Um,
yeah. We went down a wormhole.
Yeah, we did. We went down technology
That's
path.
probably pretty familiar for you guys. You probably do it all the time.
Yeah, we don't really have rules around here.
I know. I love it.
Well, when you're training someone, are there qualities in a person that you need to see in order for them to be a success at the end? And on the opposite end of that coin, are there qualities you see in some people and you know right away you cannot train that person?
That is a really good question. And I can say that the people that I mean, when you sit down and you start talking to them and they're absorbing training, but they're coachable, the word that I always apply to them is desire. They desire to be better. They want to be better. So they're willing to undertake whatever it is that they need to do to get better. Right.
Mhm,
So
mhm.
if that involves training, great. If that means I got to read a book, fine, I'll read a book. If that means I got to go to this workshop, I'll go to the workshop. It doesn't matter to them because they have a desire to be better. On the flip side of that, when I have people that I'm working with, I'm training, and I see them pay zero attention, they take no notes, they don't do anything else, or I ask them to do an additional task like, hey, when you get out of here today, make sure you go to XYZ website and read this article. Right. And I ask them later, hey, did you go to XYZ website and read an article? And the answer is no, I already know that this person's not invested. To them, this is just a job, a place to show up. And there's a lot of people in our industry that are like that, you know what, they get up every day, they put on a uniform, they drive to work, they park in the same spot because that's what they've always done. But then there's a group of people that were like, hey, I want to be better. I want to get further up the ladder. I want to make more money. I want to be more successful. I want to hit these goals. Those are the people that you can tell right away, Chastity, when you're training them that they're going to be successful.
And right away. Yeah, you
Right
can.
away.
Yeah. I think it's all about the why, and people understand, not that being comfortable is a bad thing. It's not, but staying in your comfort zone and not stretching, you're going to, I know, and you know, we all three of us know that if you're not making some change or investment into you today, I know what the next 30 days is going to look like.
Yeah.
And it's going to be the same. And you're going to wonder, well, how come he or she has this or that? Well, part of the problem is you wouldn't even be comparing yourself if you had your own why and you were running your own race and staying in your own lane.
Yeah. You pay no attention to what other people are doing. Right.
That's right.
Because you're just going.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a great question, Charity.
Yeah.
That was a great question.
Okay. This one's an interesting one. I found a lot of good quotes on your,
Talking to you again, Leonard.
I picked out this one. It said, I said last week that if you are just hiring bodies, then at some point you get to bury them. So tell us what you.
That's so funny.
Very visual.
Yeah, I wrote that a while ago because I had been in a dealership that their focus was to just replace people, and so they were on a mission to stuff a body in there, right? And there are people out there. I get it, right? There's plenty of people. If you're looking for help right now, and that person walks in the door and they can fog a mirror, you're in, buddy. Come on in. You're at work. The problem with that is that if you're just hiring bodies, people who are transitory, right? They're just here for a little while. Again, we go back to the continuity thing and to what the customer's perception is, and what about churn, and what about training, and what about longevity, and all the things that go into making a really good business. And if you are just hiring bodies, at some point you got to fire them. That's just what happens. You're just there. At some point, you're going to say that this person, this man or woman, is not doing the job. They got to go. And because they're a body, they're just filling the space.
And it's unfortunate they're out there, aren't they?
All the time. And people hire them. And it's like, okay, look, I know you're looking for people, but geez, have some type of a checklist or something that you use to evaluate people so that you don't hire a body. This person comes in when I don't know about you guys, this is one and I learned this the hard way. My process was that after I got done interviewing somebody, I had a little checklist, a mental checklist, and I would go down my checklist and I'd say, were they friendly? Yes. Were they, did they speak? Can they communicate clearly? Yes. And I would just go down. It's like 5 or 6 things. And then I would grade them on that scale, right? I wanted to a scale of 10. So if I had 5 questions, each one was worth 2 points. What, right? 5 times 2 is 10. So if they got a 10, I would hire them because they met all of those elements that I was looking for. But if they had a 2 or a 3 or a 4, and that was my honest opinion, no, they didn't get a call back, right?
Yeah.
And
Do you think those type of people are getting more difficult to find, those 10s?
Yeah.
And what do
Really?
you think that relates to? Does that have to do with age? Does that have to do with effort needed to get a job done? What do you think the reason is behind that?
I think it's the people that are looking. It's not the people that are out there. There's good people out there. You can find them, but I think the people that are looking for people have given up on that, and they have now resorted to hiring bodies rather than go through the hard steps, right? I mean, thinking about it, 25 or 30 years ago, you wrote an ad, you could have people show up, and the ad didn't even have
Absolutely.
to be that good, right, Russell? You could write an ad, it's like busy dealerships looking for lot porter, good pay, good hours, see Leonard, and give a phone number, and people would come in. The problem with that now is that people are expecting a little bit more out of the dealership, but what's happening is that they're still applying the same type of mentality to the people that are out there. And when that happens, you're attracting the same kind of people. And what you need to do is up your game. I think that if you upped your game to where you're writing and you're let's go back to John's prospectus. Okay. That's a prime example. If John had not put that out and he put out an ad, hey, great dealership looking for technicians, what kind of people do you think he was going to get to apply? And how many? Nowhere near what he got.
No.
But what he did is he put in the effort and the work himself, right? It's not the people that are out there that are bad. It's the work that the leader, the person that's looking for that person needs to do to get the right person in front of them. And what I'm finding is that people don't want to go through that. They're just like, it should be easy. Let's put it on Indeed. Let's put it on, wherever, and we should just have people show up.
Well, I can tell you it's not working because we tried, because we're hiring in our own company, and it's not that easy, unfortunately. And I have chased the almighty dollar before, where I left a position where there was a lot of opportunity.
Yeah.
And moved to another town. I didn't do some of the things that other people do, where they'll buy a house and do all these things, and 6 months later they're out, right? So, and I learned a lot while I was there, and the money was exceptional. But at the end of that, literally almost 1 year, there was other things in my life that were in jeopardy, like my own peace of mind, my emotional balance, my family, what my family was going through.
Yep.
And I actually moved back, and that was a pivoting moment for me, understanding it's not just about the money, it's about other things. And that's the stuff you're talking about, John. John laid out some, there's more. People want that. I think they want that. Yeah, they do.
They want that. And that's how he attracted all those people.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
So think about this, if you're like in your office right now in a dealership and you're going, well, we need to find, more technicians. And you're like, what's our strategy? And the GM says, what's your strategy? And you go, I'm going to put an ad on Indeed. What? If you're the GM, you got to be like, look, dude, you need to up your game. Come on. We got to do better than that.
What's a better strategy, Leonard?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So when we start saying, one is again, what John did, put a prospectus out, but he put it everywhere. It wasn't just in one spot. It was all over the internet. You could not see it. I think he even had it up on his website, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong about that, but
I can't remember.
I would venture to say that he put it up on his website, so somebody coming to his website would see it on there. Why not? Your website is just a reflection of what your business is. If you're looking for people, why not put it on the service page? Right?
Ooh, well said.
Right? You got a service page. People go there looking for coupons, but they could be looking for something else. What if they know a technician that lives right down the street and like, hey, I went to this dealership, ABC Motors. They were freaking great, man.
Yeah.
You should go to work there. They got an ad up.
Yeah. Well, let's
Okay.
hope they weren't looking for coupons because
Yeah.
typically there's not any there. But anyway, right.
Yeah, right. So
Sorry, I had to plug
there's one thing that people don't really utilize a lot. But social media is one. Bird
Yep.
dogs, asking other people. What about the old? And again, this is old school. And this is something that I did, and I've done it good. I've been good at it, and I've gotten my face slapped a little bit. Because if you start recruiting out of Jiffy Lubes and stuff, you're going to get some pushback from people. So
Yeah.
occasionally, right? But if you go up to a Jiffy Lube, you see a technician, you're like, "Hey, dude, I just want to stop by. This is my card. We're looking for good people. If you get a chance, give me a call," and
Yeah.
walk away. You might get off the lot before they start yelling at you, but you can get that card out to that guy's hands. And,
Yeah, no,
again,
no
that's
question
one of
about
the
it.
things that you have to do. Go ahead. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
I've found great people actually with waiters and waitresses that were exceptional, driven, customer service, talkative, approachable. You could tell they were teachable. They cared, and I would rather have 5 people like that I had to hire somebody like you to work with into
Yep.
our culture versus hiring 5 people that had a bad attitude and all the experience, right?
That's right. I don't need that anymore. My
Oh.
best advisor I ever hired was a kid that I say kid because they're younger, but that was a kid. It was a kid that had the biggest, greatest, and he was a big man. This dude was huge. I mean, he was 6'4", weighed about 280, huge guy. And at first I thought, I was like, oh man, this guy's going to have trouble. He's going to intimidate customers. But man, when he came in and sat down and started smiling and talking, I felt like warm sunshine filled up the whole room. I'm like, oh, this is fantastic. Best hire I ever had as a service advisor. And he proved me right because within a couple of months, a guy was top dog, right? Sold more than everybody else, had better CSI, and was just crushing it because he was so freaking friendly. He was terrible at paperwork. I wanted to hire someone just to do his paperwork, but I was willing to put up with it because his CSI and his customer skills were so good. People just loved him, and they would come in and they would pass by everybody else to go talk to him.
Yeah, it's like it's hard to get the whole package, and
Yeah,
they
you can't have it
they've been
all.
good. No, you can't. I remember hiring F&I people. You got somebody that's good with customers, good at hanging paper, good at products, and good at getting the. I mean, it's rare that you can find somebody who could do all those things proficiently. But that guy you're mentioning is kind of like an Ed Roberts, man. When you're around Ed,
Yeah. Oh.
I mean, it's just like. You just feel comfortable and you could almost share anything. And you know what? He's relatable because he'd been through the same crap all of us have been through, some of them even worse, and still came in on the other side. So what's your excuse? I know you stay busy doing the training that you do.
Yeah.
And I love people. My wife says I'm too naive and gullible because I believe people. I'm vulnerable enough to put myself out there.
Yeah.
To get slapped again, because it happens a lot. But I still love them where they're at and move on down the road. I don't forget, but I don't have resentments and hold it against them because that's important for my own peace of mind. So you stay. Is there places you go or people you just don't work with anymore? Or is there lines that can be crossed where Leonard said, I'm done?
Yeah, that's happened a couple of times. There was a dealer a year ago that reached out to me that was very I don't even know how to describe the guy. Let's just say that we did not mesh. Okay. We're talking oil and water, gas and fire, all those things. And I knew right away that if I were to go into that store and start training, that there was going to be a conflict and there was going to be a problem. But the worst part of that was I knew that I would not get the success that he was looking for because I would never be allowed to train the way I need to. All right. And I could feel that right away because if someone says to you, Russell, and says, you know what, Russell, I want you to fix my website. I want to make it the best in the world. And you go, okay, not a problem. And you start working on a website and then they call you up and go, no. I don't want you to do it that way. I want you to do it this way. No. Do this. Don't do it this way. It's got to say this. No. It's got to be this position on the website. after a little while, you're like, dude, this is not going to work. We're not friends anymore because I cannot give you what you want because you're not allowing me to do the job the way I need to. And that's what happened in this particular dealer's case. I was like, and he was angry with me because I said, no, I'm not going to, I don't want to train. So, but oh well.
Yeah, here's a question Charity had, and thanks again, Charity, for these. Let's talk retention.
Yeah.
And is there a secret recipe, or is this something we've been talking about all along, Leonard?
We have been talking about it all along, and retention. I hear this is the new word for profitability, right? Because moving forward, am I right? Right? Because it's going to be about retention. Moving forward, everybody, the big fear is EV. EV is coming, it's this big boulder is falling on our heads and it's going to crush our service departments. And I'm like, no, it's not. Look, EVs have things that are wrong with them too. All right. They're going to have issues that you are going to have.
But Leonard, they're electric.
They're electric.
We'll never make any money.
We'll never make any money. It'll be terrible. We're all going out of business. Look, the EVs still need stuff. Okay. The retention piece is about getting those customers to come back, because if they believe that they can get that service work done anyplace else, it means that you're competing as a commodity, and we are not commodities. We are value driven. We are the best place ever to get your car serviced, sir or ma'am. And what happens is that when it comes to retention, we forget that we're just talking to people. They just want to be treated properly. They want to be followed up with. They want you to follow through on the promises that you said you were going to do, like call me when the part is in, call me when my car is ready, wash my car if you said you're going to wash the car, right? Deliver it if you're going to deliver it.
Yeah. And if not, communicate it and apologize.
Tell me what whoa, crazy talk, right? And if you do that, you will have customers that say, oh, don't go anyplace else. Look, when I was there, XYZ happened and it kind of screwed it up, but they fixed it and made it so much better that I won't go anyplace else. And
I think that a lot of that has to do with, I'm a huge believer in a few things, traction, Hunter's got stuff like that, UVI, REPAIRPAL for transparency and pricing.
Yep. FixedOPS marketing.
FixedOPS marketing.
Oh,
whoa. Who is that?
Crazy.
Oh my gosh. Well,
website.
I mean, think about it. It is transparent, informing people, educating people, making it easy for them to engage. Like this company she just mentioned, FixedOPS marketing. We don't really rarely do we ever talk about that. Now, I know that you recently saw what we did, and I hope that you can say it on here. And if it's not the right answer, we're just going to edit you out anyway.
I know, I got that.
But I mean, it's cutting edge stuff, and it takes a lot of guesswork.
When we were on the technology piece a little bit earlier, and we were talking about how technology has changed over the last 20 or 30 years, that's another area, right? Remember when people said that having a website was like building a store, right? If you put it out there on the corner, people are just going to show up, and eventually you'll get business. Well, a website, in the beginning, that's what websites were. They were placeholders on the internet.
That's right.
And now they're not. They are an actual reflection of your dealership.
Oh my God.
Part of your personality and part of your brand. So when you guys go in like FixedOPS marketing, you guys go in and build that. When somebody goes to the website, you're like, holy cow, these dudes are on it, man. They got everything's right there. It's fast, it's easy, it's efficient, right?
Yeah. And just so everybody knows, Leonard doesn't work for us. He doesn't represent us. He doesn't resell for us. We're not in any of his stores that we know of, but he did have enough curiosity to take a look at what we did. But I can recommend. Yes. Oh, okay. Well, thank you. Appreciate that.
Well, Leonard, I have one more question for you.
Yeah, one more question. God, the hour just burned up so fast.
It does. They always go so fast. So you've been called the FixedOPS champion.
Whoa.
Do you believe that's accurate?
I have no idea. Where did that come from? That's funny.
I'm going to tell you where it comes from.
Where?
It comes from all the venues that I've seen you in. I'm going to mention one specifically, Sunday morning. Okay.
Yeah.
You have a way of presenting things and making comments and reflections and endorsing things in a way where everybody knows, you know what the hell you're talking about. And you're a champion around all those things. And if something isn't right, You have no qualms about standing up and offering a different opinion. You don't argue with people,
No.
but you offer a different way of thinking, and that's why I think that you've been tagged with that phrase.
Wow, that's humbling. I had no idea. That's very humbling. I don't know what to say to that. I hope I can live up to that. That's all I can say.
And Leonard, if you want
Okay.
to share your information, how people can contact you,
Yes,
Oh,
please do.
Yeah.
you're welcome to do that.
Yeah. Anything at all. If you need some help in your fixed operations in your service department, give me a call, 760-419-9002. Hit me up on LinkedIn, obviously, right? We're on there quite a bit. Or you could just shoot an email or go to the website at www.dealerprotraining.com. Hit the contact form, fill out, ask for me, and I'll be in contact.
Everybody, Leonard Buchholz, listen, you can find him everywhere. Trust me. Like him, love him, share him, call him. He's very reachable, and he's very open to sharing whatever. Same thing when these segments are released. Make sure you make comments, things that you find fascinating, liking. If they're negative comments, we welcome them too. I mean, that's okay. We'll edit those out later. But please share us, like us, love us, and make comments, because this is a phenomenal community. It's a small community, even though it's very, very large, but this is the greatest business in the world, and that's automotive. And this is another successful episode in the books of WTF, and that's What the Fixed Ops with Charity. Thank you. You're such a gracious co-host. And Leonard Buchholz, hello. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.